In some instances, the best way to take a successful device is make some slight modifications and make it even better. How's it going, guys? I'm Aaron from PhoneDog.com, and that's exactly what Motorola did with the Motorola DROID RAZR HD. Now, specs-wise, it's gotten a nice bump. It's featuring a 1.5 gigahertz dual-core Snapdragon S4 CPU, a 4.7-inch display that's now HD, even though it still has Pentile technology, an 8-megapixel camera, and it's got Android 4.0 with a tapered-down version of Motorola's user interface. You like what I did there? Tapered down. I'm using hand gestures, I'm that excited. This is the DROID RAZR HD. Let's take a look at it in a full Phone Dog review. But first, special thanks to our partners at Best Buy Mobile for giving us devices like this for use in our One Paw Bandit giveaway game, which we turn around and give to you on the site at instantwin.phonedog.com. When you go into Best Buy Mobile, you'll walk out working. They'll help you set up your contacts, your settings, all that stuff. So when you walk out the door, you don't have to worry about the setup. They'll take good care of it, or take good care of you, I should say, or your grandma or your mom or whoever buys a device at Best Buy Mobile. You'll walk out working. Let's take a look. DROID RAZR HD. Is this the device to get, or should you go with something else that's coming out this holiday season? Maybe the Xperia TL, the Galaxy S3, the Galaxy Note 2, the iPhone 5, a ton of different options. Is this the one? We'll find out in the full review, which starts right now. Everybody loves a good comeback story, and in the case of the Motorola DROID RAZR HD, that may be exactly what it is. This, like I said, is the DROID RAZR HD. It's a new version of the Motorola DROID RAZR announced last year, released last year, and it's got some awesome specifications that make it a nice upgrade from the original RAZR, but also something that can compete with some of the other devices on the market. The Galaxy S3, the upcoming Galaxy Note 2, perhaps the iPhone 5, the 1X, or now the 1X Plus, which is coming soon to AT&T, and more. This is available now, and you can see the design is a little bit different from the original Motorola DROID RAZR. First of all, you'll notice is more of a boxy design here in terms of look and feel. You've got metal on the sides, and on the top it looks really nice all around, and you've got ports on the sides as well, and then you've got this Kevlar back with your 8-megapixel camera. Now, to give you a rundown of the specs, you've got a 1.5 gigahertz dual-core Snapdragon S4 CPU, an 8-megapixel camera with 1080p HD video recording, a 4.7-inch HD display with Pentile technology. So for you technology people out there, this does, in fact, include Pentile. And you have a bigger battery as well this time around. You've got a 2,530 milliamp hour battery over here, 16 gigabytes of onboard storage, and Android 4.0 with Motorola's user interface, which frankly is becoming closer and closer to stock Android as time goes on. So you're seeing the interface changing all around. You're seeing Motorola moving towards on-screen buttons, and you're seeing a lot of changes just all around. The industrial look and feel of this device continues to enhance the overall product portfolio of Motorola. It looks much better. You can see the buttons on the side. You got a power button, your volume rocker over here on the right side, your 3.5mm headphone jack up top, and then you got down here at the sides your micro USB charging port, your micro HDMI port, and then you got this as well, your micro SIM card slot, and where you can put in your SIM card and move along from there. And I believe there's a micro SD card slot, but forgive me, I don't, or maybe I do actually. Let's go ahead and plug this in and see. I'm going to do this on camera so you can take a look and see what comes. I can't remember. I know it's a micro SIM card for sure. Okay, there is a micro SD card slot there as well, so you can add in a micro SD card slot. I just couldn't remember if it was behind there or if it was hiding from me. That said, Android 4.0 on this device out of the gate, so it's got some nice improvements. There's still a Motorola DROID RAZR HD Max, or Motorola DROID RAZR Max HD as well, but the difference here, the old one had a 1,800 milliamp hour battery, or 1,780, excuse me, and then the Motorola DROID RAZR Max had a 3,300. Well, that's still the case with the Max. It still has a 3,300 milliamp hour battery, but the newer one with the HD display has a 2,530 milliamp hour battery back here. And I know that's a lot of numbers, but what I'm getting down to is the battery difference is much less between this version, the DROID RAZR HD, and the DROID RAZR Max HD. 2,530 to 3,300 is a much less gap, or much smaller gap rather, than 1,780 to 3,300. So for you, you know, it's an extra $100 to get the RAZR Max HD, and it comes with 32 gigabytes of storage and a bigger battery, but you've got to make that decision. Is that extra $100 worth it for added storage space and for battery? For some of you, it will absolutely be worth it. For others, you may just want to stick with this one because when it comes to battery, they've really perfected the formula. Motorola's Smart Actions continue to do a great job. And then, like I said, the battery has gotten larger all around. Out of the gate, you do get some Verizon stuff, Verizon applications. You got MC3, you got My Verizon Mobile, Mobile Hotspot, you got VZ Navigator, Visual Voicemail, which on Verizon is an additional $2.99 per month, Verizon Video, and then you see some stuff I've installed as well, Yelp, weather channel should be on here, and more. Now the menu looks a little bit different, and in typical Motorola fashion, it's different depending on which carrier you look at. You've got the Sprint versions, I mean, go back all the way back to the original Motorola devices, and they're very customizable based on carrier, if you will. So you'll notice Sprint Motorola devices, Verizon Motorola devices, AT&T Motorola devices all look slightly different when it comes to the user interface. And you can see here, it's pretty standard notifications bar, Verizon Wireless Network identifier. You got your on-screen buttons, back, home, and then recent applications down here. And you've got up to 7 home screens on this device that you can add where it says page limit reach. Now, this is a point of contention for me. A lot of people aren't really going to care about this, but when you go over here, for example, and you hit home, take a look at how it takes you back to the farthest screen on the left as opposed to taking you back to the screen in the center. Now, for me, I like to have my home screen in the center, and it's great because the quick settings here, which is something that's new to Motorola. We saw this on the RAZR M a couple of months ago when we got the review units for it. There's some nice quick settings over here to activate phone ringtone, Wi-Fi, Bluetooth, GPS, and more. So I get the shortcut functionality here. I get that that's a nice feature, and you can still pinch out to manage your pages. But what I wish I could do is designate the middle one a home screen, so when I hit home, it goes back to the one in the middle as opposed to the one all the way over here at the left. Minor thing, but still kind of annoying if you're used to dealing with an Android device, maybe like a Samsung device or an HTC device where you hit home and it takes you back to the one right in the center. Now, look and feel-wise, you're going to see that it's pretty similar to stock Android here, and more so over the course of a couple of months. Obviously, Google owns Motorola. They say they don't have a direct hand in the company's day-to-day operations. That said, they are migrating more and more towards stock Android. You can see here out of all of the major OEMs, you can see that the overall look and feel of this is very similar to the stock build of Android 4.0. So here it is out of the gate, Motorola's keyboard, Motorola's multi-touch QWERTY keyboard, and out of the box you get that. And then you get swipe and Motorola's Chinese input. So if swipe's your thing, you've got an option to go in here and take a look at it. I'm going to cancel it out because it is very clearly not my thing. And then I'm going to go over here to, I'm not a swipe person. Everybody tells me I should use swipe more, but not my thing. 4.7-inch display is also another difference between the old device, or the original I should say, and this one. 4.7 inches right up there with the 1X, a little bit smaller than the Galaxy S3, so again, something that can definitely compete with the devices on the market this holiday season. So we'll say the Quick Brown Fox is liking the HD display. Quick Brown Fox is liking the HD display. We can go to portrait to landscape. Transitions are reasonably fast. That 1.5 gigahertz dual-core Snapdragon S4 CPU working perfectly well there all across the board. And you can see little to no lag all around. Now the keyboard, easy to type on, 4.7-inch display, more than enough to get you through, even if you're somebody that's coming from something like a BlackBerry or something with a physical QWERTY keyboard. Pretty easy to use, and of course you can switch it over into landscape mode and easily use it that way as well. So not bad all around here and very easy to use. It's nice and fast, and the screen size is pretty decent as well. Let's take a look here. It does have 4G LTE capabilities on Verizon, and Motorola is spearheading it by taking out the stock browser and including Chrome out of the gate. So you're getting the Chrome browser out of the box and not, whoops, that is not the way to spell phone dog, and not the regular browser that you would get with a Motorola device in the past. So we're going to load up phonedog.com. and wait for it to load. Verizon's 4G LTE, nice and fast. They quoted download speed between 5 and 12 megabits per second and upload speed between 2 and 5 megabits per second. You can see all around, pinch to zoom, relatively responsive. The dual-core Snapdragon S4 CPU, a very good workhorse all around. It's obviously in the Galaxy S3 in the US, and we've seen it in a ton of other devices. The Motorola DROID RAZR M, this device, the DROID RAZR Max HD, and a couple of other ones on the market. It's a nice device, or a nice processor rather, all around, easy to use, and nice and fast. So it's good to see that they're finally putting that in Motorola devices as opposed to the TI OMAP processor that we've seen in some of the past Motorola devices. I will tell you that after working with the RAZR and the RAZR Max, the original variants, moving up to this with the Snapdragon S4 processor is noticeably faster all around. Pinch to zoom, responsive, absolutely love the Chrome browser. It's nice and fast, it's got a ton of great features, and you can see fun little things like this when you add a new tab. We'll go in here and do a new one. I like the way it just shuffles through the tabs. It shuffles all the way through. And the nice little transition effects make it pretty clean and pretty easy to use. So all around, a good device when it comes to browsing the web. And then watching videos as well, we can jump into YouTube. And if you're in a market that has 4G LTE, which honestly with Verizon, they just surpassed their 400th LTE market. So quickly becoming hard not to find a 4G LTE market. We can go in here, for example, and just turn on whatever. I don't know what Bruno Mars, whatever the heck this is. Locked Out of Heaven official video, and so I can go into landscape mode, and you'll notice that finally the on-screen buttons go away. I'm going to go ahead and pause that so we don't play the full video. But you can see the on-screen buttons, for the most part, go away when you're watching the video, and then obviously when you click back on the video, they come back. So gone is that point we saw with a couple of early Motorola devices where the buttons were staying on the screen regardless, thus reducing overall screen real estate from 4.7 or 4.5 or 4.3 down to something else. So on-screen, a nice touch, and it's nice that when you do actually need that full screen real estate, you can get rid of those buttons if you so desire. Otherwise, functional all around. You can see here, we'll jump really quickly into the camera, which I'm going to cover in part 1. It's very unusual for me to do, but you know what? We're going to mix it up today. We're going to get crazy with the Motorola DROID RAZR HD review. You can see 8 megapixel shooter here, 1080p HD video recording all around on this device. I can hit this button and see different camera settings, widescreen, volume key function, and then I can come in here, and as I drop it like an idiot out of my hand, you can see that it moves from portrait to landscape mode, and the buttons on the camera do as well. So that's a nice little touch there, and then you can see a couple of different camera options, scenes, effects, modes, and I'm a fan of the HDR mode as well as the multi-shot mode, so I can come in here and take a panorama if I want to, take that iPhone 5. Or I can do a multi-shot, so if I'm watching a game or doing something of that nature, take multi-shots, and then bam, to move back through and find which one of the 6 I like the most. So I like this. I like the fact, although I don't really care for the implementation of it because I don't like that I have to press the button and it automatically takes all 6. I'd much rather have a scenario where I have to press and hold down the button in order for it to take pictures, and when I let go, it stops taking pictures. Otherwise, absolutely love that. HDR is available. You've got a 1080p HD video recording capability, and you've got a front-facing shooter as well for video calling, self-portraits, or as I've heard on the internet, as the internet kids are calling it, selfies. So you can take some selfies of yourself for MySpace or whatever it is that all the cool kids are doing these days. Facebook, I guess, or Instagram, all that good stuff. It's like such an old man. I use Instagram sometimes. I can't really say that. Shutter tone as well in camera settings and more. So all in all, pretty decent camera. Motorola has pretty much used the same formula when it comes to cameras. I don't really see a dramatic boost in overall quality between the DROID RAZR Max, and then the newer variants. They kind of just used the same thing, kind of stuck with it. That said, like the inclusion of panorama, like the inclusion of HDR, and really like the inclusion of the burst mode features on the DROID RAZR HD and HD Max.